Ah yes, the Nerf Double Down. I bought this to do a practical Nerf on it, fully aware that it's not a very practical blaster. It's cool. The handle is super comfy looking, and, well, it's not a terrible sidearm, but it's pretty big. It's not as powerful as a Fire Strike, at least not out of the box, and it's got that double air restrictor up there, so I'm guessing the performance is going to be about that of the Double Strike, the much smaller, much more practical one-handed blasting revolver thing, but it's not. It's like a Derringer. Well, whatever. And, well, I never got around to it, partially because I moved all my stuff out here and I don't have room to shoot practical Nerf right now, because that requires a little bit of professionalism. I know that's a comedy word coming from me, but I actually seek to try to make that as pretty as possible. And, well, I still have it. I haven't even unboxed it. Haven't even used it. But the idea, well, it's clearly a lot like the Sharpfire, and I like the idea of shooting 2 darts at once out of it. So how can I go about this? And, well, the answer, and I've been sitting here for the last hour or so and finally got out to do something about it, is I'm going to try to make a Sharpfire that shoots 2 darts at once. So if I were to take both of these, and I have 2 of them because one of them is my original modded one. You can see the little bit of brass in there. And this is a one that I picked up from a Goodwill. Good find, in my opinion. I had to buy it because I actually do like the Sharpfire. It's not a very practical thing, but I do like it. It's very fun to play with, and I'd love to use it a little more competitively. But if I put that here, you'll notice that it kind of fits on there. And of course I'll have to double up this side, or this front piece, but not a huge deal. But if I put that on there, well, it kind of fits. If you look down here, these little holes right here are where the catches catch the plunger head as it pulls back. Well, what can I do about that? It's right on the side of the blaster, almost perfectly. So, if I were to take one of the catches, or both catches, and adhere them to the side, kind of like this, you can see this middle post right here is where the catches are actually held originally. If I move that over to the side here, in fact, my idea at the moment is to take this screw and kind of ream it in there with the catch. Well, you can see that'll work pretty much perfectly. So I have a catch that can actuate. Now, the downside is the spring has to go down here. Not a big deal on this hand at all. Kind of a big deal on this hand, although, to be fair, if I wanted to actuate the trigger, that's not exactly a huge deal. It is right there. And if I were to use like a pen cap, or, well, I have an entirety of one of these, I'm sure I can make something pretty out of that. You know, with some epoxy putty and some painting. Yeah, I think I can make it look, it's not going to be perfect, but I can make something that's hidden and will still function. So that got me thinking, well, the other part is that obviously I have to do the trigger, but the way this thing works is super, super duper simple. Let me demonstrate. So pretend there's pressure from a spring right in there. Pushes that, and then, yeah, not very difficult at all. So literally, if I were to cut this piece of plastic out around here and have literally anything kind of, you know, plastic welded right there, one pull of the trigger would be able to actuate 2 or even whatever amount of these. So I've got the firing mechanism figured out, and I already know what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to sand off the rods on the side and put them together as close as I can, or the rails on the side, excuse me. And then I'm going to cut the front off the other one, and I'm going to put them up there and measure them and epoxy them and get that all good together. And then I'm going to basically attach both sides of the rail here, but I'm gonna sand the hell, I might even cut it pretty much right here and cut it off so it can join to the next one really easily. And they'll be really close together so I can prime both of them with one hand, load in 2 darts, close it, and with one trigger pull, it will fire. Will I succeed? Well, if I succeed, you'll actually see this video. But if I fail in a spectacular way, you will also probably see this video. If I fail quietly and miserably, well, you won't ever see this video. But that is the plan, so you're actually going to see the building process, something I really haven't done yet. I've shown you the finished product, but I haven't shown you the building one. That being said, it's going to probably be a little bit of a longer video. I'm at 5 minutes right now, and I haven't even done anything. I'll try to speed through the rest of it as I go on, but at the moment, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't start anything right now because in about 10 minutes I have to leave, but hey. We'll start on it tomorrow, and I'm just going to kind of jump through what I've got done. And from there, well, let's make ourselves a better double down, I guess. God, that's making me hungry. There's no food on this boat! I think I'm going crazy! I'm starting to hear voices! Enough of that. So, yeah, day 2 of working on this. We've got the catch mechanisms figured out, and if I can quickly demonstrate them. I'll do this not through the viewfinder, so hopefully I don't look like a total frickin' moron. There we go. Put that on there, because that's vaguely where it's going to go. And you can see, or can't see, it's really hard to see in there. But the catches fit in perfectly, which is exactly what we wanted. So, the catches are figured out. From here, I need to do a couple of things. Whoops, didn't mean to hit the camera. First thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sync up the trigger, which is easier than anything. And then we're going to have to cut off the front of both of them. Here's the other one. I took off that piece of brass. I'm going to have to measure and cut a new one anyway. Going to cut the barrel off, and actually, probably the hardest part of this entire project is going to be epoxying the front of this blaster to this one and making sure they're both aligned so they both work in a bolt. I'm probably going to have to put these on there, put the brass in here, put it all together, and then look where they line up and epoxy them in that way to make sure that the bolt actually opens smoothly. Again, this is not the most practical of blaster ideas, but I'm actually sort of digging it. So we'll see how this goes. I'll keep you updated. You know that feeling when you think something's going to be really hard to do, and it's actually not? Yeah, this is that's not going to be that hard to integrate at all, actually. So that's good news. And so here's where we're at so far with this. We've got these all cut down and sanded. Probably sand them a little bit more before I epoxy them, but we've also got the rails on each side so they can be a bit closer together. So that's what we're looking for. We've got this all sanded and cut down. Again, another really important step. And probably the biggest change is these two pieces. So here's kind of what they look like originally. Here's what I've kind of sanded and cut them down to. The reason for that is when we put this thing together, say like, oh, that's actually, well, that's one way of doing it. Do that one, and then this one. We want these to be as close together as possible. So nothing super final yet, but that's what I've done. You can kind of see that makes a nice gap. Still big enough to prime. And, well, time to do a lot of test fitting, a lot of shaping, and start hot gluing some pieces together, because we're about to kind of get to the putty phase of things. So I believe that was probably going to be the hardest part. Now you can see they pretty much touch together like that. There's going to be some epoxy putty work and some sanding, but other than that, we pretty much got this down. The last thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to kind of cut out right here. I don't have to cut up to this rail right here, but I do have to cut in there and make it probably using one of these pieces if I can pretty them up from the side I just cut off. In fact, this one looks fine. I'm going to use that to make a little lever for the trigger that can actuate both of these, and then the final part's going to be figuring out what to do with the springs for this. I kind of think I could use a smaller spring, but I don't know if I have two that are the same same strength. But hey, getting there. The dream is real. Alrighty, we got some hot glue on here and this kind of like support part right here, just to try to keep it, you know, as even as possible while I'm working on it. So now I can start putting down the putty. Hot glue isn't really permanent. Putty pretty much is, but we've got basically as perfect as I can get it at the moment. It's looking good. And so here we are with the basic shape here. As you can see, a lot of temporary work goes into building a shape like this. More hot glue, that's not what's going to seat that there to finalize it. That's just there right now. So the thing, you know, you have to do it. Contrary to popular belief, it's really hard to build something like this because there's a lot of steps you have to take to make sure things are aligned, and then you can actually finish them off. So this right now is just kind of test fitting the handle, and the next thing I'm going to do is put some putty in there and join these two pieces to the handle. I'm still trying to make it so you can disassemble the blaster, but at the moment I got this basically as aligned as I can get it. It seems pretty much perfect to me. It's obviously not going to be perfect, there's no way, but from a glance you cannot tell. So I'm quite happy with that, and of course the basic operation is you're going to slide this back, you're going to feed 2 darts in there, you slide it forward and pull 1 trigger pull to shoot 2 darts. And both of them are going to be a sealed breech, so that's very nice. But we're still slogging away at it.